Hey there, cutie. What you doing? Nothing, huh? Well, it's obviously not nothing if you're trying to hide it from me. Come on, let me see. Please. Honey, nothing you show me could possibly be cringy or embarrassing. I mean, you're talking to the girl who is the quote-unquote queen of embarrassing herself and being cringy sometimes. So come on. Let's see. Are you making a DnD character? Really? I can't believe it. My time has come. Ta-da! I brought out the sacred text, aka the player's handbook, and the special die. The very first die that my dad ever gave me. I used to play this all the time when I was a kid. And I've been saving these and keeping them safe for just the right moment. Thing is, why didn't you tell me you were into D&D? You really thought I was gonna call you nerdy for that? When I'm the one who insisted on watching all the Star Wars movies last week for May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th. Not to mention, I am the queen of constant Disney references and references to the Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. So you really thought I was going to call you a nerd? And who says being a nerd has to be a bad thing when there are so much worse things that you can possibly be? Right? You didn't know that I was into it either? Well, I thought it was kind of obvious, but yeah, I'm into it. Okay, I think I already know the answer to this question, but I feel it is my sacred duty as your dungeon master to ask, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons before, or maybe something similar? Okay, alright, yeah, Oh yeah, totally. It can be really intimidating from a beginner's standpoint, but I promise once we get all the technical stuff out of the way, and as long as you don't really think too hard about it, it's really, really fun. I think it also depends on the group you join as well. Like, most people are very welcoming to beginners, and same with, yeah, most dungeon masters are pretty welcoming to beginners, and same with the players. But then sometimes things don't really work out. Like, one may disagree on something, and then another might agree on something, and yeah, I think it mainly depends on the group of people, because the people who play with you, the people that you join, can really affect how fun the game is for you, and maybe even affect your perspective on the game or perception or whatever. And if one game isn't your style, you can always try another. Like, if you're not into a specific campaign, or maybe it's just not, you're just not ready to play that difficulty, then you can always try another campaign. Alright, let's take a look at your character sheet so I can see where we're at here. Alright. Okay, Okay, alright. Well, from the looks of it, you've already got the basics down. You've got your character's name and appearance, which definitely my favorite part of the character creation. Like, coming up with the names and coming up with the backstory, or just figuring out what your character looks like. That's probably my favorite part of the whole character creation. And it looks like you've given them some personality traits too. That's awesome. That'll definitely make it easier to come up with a cool campaign, because sometimes the backstory that you give your character affects the campaign as well, or vice versa. Okay, what else have you got here? Okay, we need to fill out your race. Now, there are endless possibilities when choosing your character's race. We got elves, dwarves, dragonborn, different kinds of hybrids. You can even do a cat hybrid apparently now, or a wolf hybrid. I think that would be cool. I'd like to play a wolf hybrid sometime. We've also got our dragonborn. Now, I've never played a dragonborn before, but I know someone who has, and they look really, really, really cool. Yeah, sometimes it depends on the campaign. I remember one campaign I did like this vampire character. You can do vampires too. You can also do half human, half elf, or the possibilities are endless, really. I could go into specifics, but that would take forever. So really, all I'm going to say is just go crazy, go bananas. Literally, like if you wanted to create like a Godzilla character or a Planet of the Apes character, like you could do that too. You could go absolutely bonkers. Like you can give them the coolest look in the world. You can give them the coolest name in the world. It's completely up to you. It is completely up to you. I mean, sometimes the dungeon master will say, okay, well, maybe we won't do this specific character, race or species or whatnot, but anything else, yeah, you can totally do. But mostly you get free reign. Usually you can just create whatever you want. Alright, so, and you don't really have to decide now if you don't want to. You can leave that blank. But it will come in handy when we do our ability scores later on. So, yeah, you can do a little bit of both, you know, just combine it. Okay, alright, you got that? Yeah, that's gonna look really cool. And it suits you too. Okay, so next we have to choose our class. So that's, we've got things like a wizard, or a cleric, or a druid, or a paladin. Now, I suggest looking through each class and reading up on their skills and seeing which one jumps out at you, because their skills will affect their ability scores later. So if you want to play someone who's maybe a little bit stronger, you can play a fighter or a paladin, or if you want to play someone who's more intelligent, I guess, you can do a wizard or a cleric, or if you want to play a character who's really good at sneaking past enemies, then a rogue is definitely a good choice. I always like to go with the ranger, because, you know, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and Legolas was my favorite character, so that's why for my first ever campaign, way back when I was a little kid, I chose a ranger. She was an elf ranger named Zirian. I don't know how I came up with the name Zirian, I just thought it was really cool. Okay, so I've got the textbooks here, so that'll definitely help. I mean, even though I've been playing for years and years and years now, I still rely on the textbooks for accurate information. Okay, there we go. I'm going to give you a few minutes to really go through the classes and decide what you want to do, and I'm going to go downstairs and grab us some snacks. Because this might take a little while, and I don't want us doing this on an empty stomach. Alright, I'll be right back. Hey, okie dokie, I'm back. How you doing? Nice, you got your class filled out. Okay, this is gonna be really cool. Okay, so you're level 1. Alright, awesome. Now you can choose different levels depending on the campaign, but with most of my campaigns, we always start at level 1. And most campaigns do start out at level 1, unless you're like an expert, like unless you played this like a bajillion times before. But even if I've played a gajillion times before, I still like to keep it at a level 1, so I can have a bit of a refresher, you know? Okay, looks good. All we have to do now is fill out our ability scores. So in D&D, you have 6 core abilities, so that's strength, that's your athleticism, and you get the idea with strength, right? Yeah, you'd be like the Incredible Hulk, or Superman, or any other strong character that you could think of. Then you have dexterity, so that's your physical agility, reflexes, balance, poise, so like Black Widow, right? I know I'm using a lot of Marvel references here, but Marvel and DC, whatever, but you kind of get the point, right? Okay, so if you're gonna play a ranger, like I did, you may have more, you might want to put your highest scores at dexterity and strength. And then, let's say as a cleric, you might have higher levels of constitution, that's your health and stamina. Intelligence and wisdom. Intelligence and wisdom is a big thing for clerics and elves and those sorts of characters. So wisdom, basically know what that is, right? Yeah, it's helpful when you want to recall certain information that you've learned about a creature, or a certain place, or an enemy. Like, you might want to know their strengths and weaknesses, things like that. Usually you'll do that when you're actually in combat, and your DM will ask you to roll a specific check. And that applies to all the things in D&D too. So if you're exploring, then the DM will ask you to roll a specific thing to see if you know the information, or if you just know a little bit, or if you don't know anything at all. Right? Okay, so then you have charisma, which represents your confidence, eloquence, and leadership. So a paladin might have higher levels of charisma because they're natural-born leaders. And, same with clerics. They might have higher charisma, but again, it all depends on what scores you give them. Like, you could have a cleric who's maybe not as intelligent or wise, or you may have a fighter who's maybe not as strong. It's completely up to you and the DM to decide. Yeah, so here is where things can get a little tricky. Like, depending on the method your DM uses to get your scores, I usually prefer the standard array. So they give you specific numbers and you just put them wherever you see fit. Then there's the random generation, where you roll 4 d6s, or 6-sided dice, and you record the total of the highest 3 dice. Now, I've only had to do this once, because math math is not my greatest subject, but yeah, then you do it 5 or more times, so you have 6 numbers. or the point cost. So you have the point cost system. So that's 27 points, which you can spend on your ability scores. Now, your points are determined by the DM, but usually it costs a certain number of points to have that certain skill. So, for example, a score of 14 costs 7 of your 27 points. Now, we're not going to do that one because, again, math. Like I said, I like to use the standard array. So I'm going to give you these numbers: 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So with these numbers, you can choose which abilities you want your character to excel in and what you want to work on throughout the campaign. So if you have a score of 15 in a specific skill, you're pretty good at it naturally, but that doesn't mean that you won't be able to work on it later, you know? And then if you have a score of 8, that's not the worst score you could have, but it may prove difficult at some tasks. But again, it depends on the difficulty that your DM sets. So an 8 might not be good in some cases, but in some cases it might just be the right number. So I know it sounds a little tricky when we talk about the mathematical aspects and the technical aspects of it, but like I said, you don't really have to think too much about it. All you really have to focus on is having fun and enjoying your experience, you know? Yeah. Alright. Let's see. Okay, and depending on which class and race you choose, you get a score modifier for a specific ability. Like, you might get a +2 in strength, or you might get a +2 in constitution. You might get a plus, it's usually anywhere from +0 to +2 in most cases. But sometimes it goes a little higher. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there you go. Alright, let's see what you got. Hey, looking good. Okay, and I love the name you chose too. That's pretty cool. So, anyway, I was thinking, some of my friends and I actually have an introductory session this Saturday. Yeah, we were gonna start playing. I think we said maybe once a month, because, you know, we're all pretty busy usually, and we don't want to take up too much time playing. Plus, we want to kind of savor it, enjoy it, you know. So if you wanna join us, we'd love to have you. I think we're short on one player, so if you wanna join, you can. Awesome. I will let everyone know, and then we'll get you settled in. I'm sure they'll adore you as much as I do. And if you want, I can also add you to the group chat, just to give you some time to get to know your fellow players and maybe interact a little bit. Yeah, it can be a little chaotic sometimes, but it's mostly pretty chill, like most group chats. Okay, well, you're looking great so far, but do you have any questions that you need to ask me about your character or whatever? Your backstory? Oh, you can be as creative as you want. I'm gonna let you have free reign. That's usually what I do. I'm like, you know what? Do whatever you like. We'll find a way to add it to the campaign. We'll find a way. I'm usually pretty flexible in that department. What about improv? I say just say as much or as little as you want. I mean, I struggled a lot with improv at first. Like, just, getting into that mindset where you don't have to worry about how technical you are or how, eloquent it is. Half the time I just sat there like, okay. You know, it's not, you don't have to worry too much. Usually one of the other players can, help you along, you know, or maybe your DM will help you along if you're struggling a little bit. But I'd say just relax, you know. I know it's stressful when you're put on the spot like that. Trust me, I know. But I think the more you sort of the more you play, the more you get used to it, is what I'm trying to say. So, is there anything else you want to know? No? Okay, well, if you have any questions, you can ask me, and I'll try to help you as best I can. Yeah, most of the players that are going to be in my group have played before, so if you want to ask them some questions, then they'll be happy to answer you, or give you any tips or pointers. Okay, so I think we're just about done. Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you come up with the backstory in that later. I'll also let you design your character, and then I'll add you to the group chat, and we can sort of hang out there for a bit. That'd be good? Okay, well, I'll let you put that away right now, because your head probably hurts, huh? Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, sometimes it's easy to create a character, but other times you really have to think about it. Other times you really have to be like, okay, let me set this down for a little bit, and maybe come back to it later, and I'll be in the right headspace to figure it out later, right? Okay. Why don't we take a break and have our snacks? Okay? Okay, I brought some pretzels. Do you like pretzels? Okay, well, if you don't like pretzels, I also brought Cheetos, Doritos, whatever. It all came in this big box, so have at it. Well, you're welcome. I honestly never thought that my partner would be into D&D. I thought I would be the only one and I'd have to hide this secret forever and ever and ever. But it's nice to know that you're getting into it too, and I think we're going to have a whole lot of fun. So, yeah. I know I say yeah a lot. Might turn into John Wick. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could create a John Wick character if you want. Absolutely. But we'll probably do that in another campaign. We'll just have a bunch of John Wicks. Alright. Well, cheers to hopefully cool D&D session, and cheers to being nerds. I love you so much.